Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Make sure to watch this video, please. Make sure to watch this video because this is going to be the downfall of the United States, and with that would likely be Mexico and Canada too. That is my full belief. I saw this coming so far away, probably in the first year anyways, that the border was wide open and they wouldn't shut it. Now, I want to make it very clear that I don't I'm subscribed to this news channel just for some stories, but I find a lot of propaganda in this, but it does seem like they are trying to get at the truth with a lot of stuff. So this is more about this news story. I wanted to listen to this because I want to hear what's happening at the border. And this one versus all the other ones I've heard has taken me back. Like, I feel like I'm taken back by this. And before I begin this, I was about to do the prophecy of Daniel 8, because I did a video earlier today, or sorry, I just was it as earlier because I just released one. And so no, it was the one I did more in the beginning of the day. Anyways, and I got a wicked revelation. It's gonna help you in your journey. Trust me when I read this to you. So 4 years, open border. How many people? You keep hearing numbers, right? There's 5 million, there's 8 million. Sometimes you hear 10 or 12, but I heard on respectable people of this world that the number is likely, and even Donald Trump himself, and I don't think he's embellishing it. It's more like 22 to 25 million, and the person that's on the show thinks it's going to be up to 30 when it's done. And you don't know what's going to happen at the time of the election. Nobody knows. Our world has gone crazy, right? So before I press play here, I want to say this. Why would a born again Christian YouTuber want to do this story? Because this is the way I look at it. Remember in the book of Kings, the book of Judges, remember all the warnings that Yahweh has given in Exodus, Leviticus, Judges. He gives us warnings. He gives a lot of warnings. He says, if you don't follow me, this is going to happen. If you worship idols, this is going to happen, which is one of the worst commandments to break. When I look at the United States and I see this, and I see the things that are happening in the States, really bad things. You go back, you think the 1960s, they took prayer out. They're killing babies left, right, and center. What are we talking, 60, 70 million babies? That's just insane. Do you think Yahweh's going to take that for long? God, okay? To anyone who doesn't listen to Christian or read the Bible. What's happening? I believe that Yahweh, God, is allowing this to happen because he's punishing. And a lot of people don't think that we're in the tribulation at all. There will be a whole spectrum to a tribulation, okay? It doesn't mean it's going to start at once. Our world is diminishing, and if you can't see that, you have bad discernment. You have really, really bad discernment, and you need to look more at the world, at what's happening. That's what I think. Can you imagine 30, let's just say safely, let's just call it 20, 22 million. That's like more than 10% of your population. That's like 10% of your population. And if it gets to 30, it'll be, say, around 10% of your population. It is not sustainable. I believe it's a military invasion because they're mostly men. They say military age men. They're just men. A lot of them are in good shape. They hate a lot of them. You're going to see in this. I believe a lot of them are not good people. There's a lot of rape. There's a lot of violence. Chinese nationalists too. There's I don't know how many there are now, like 40,000. I'm sure a lot of these people are trained, and there's a lot of killers in the States now. And I feel sorry for anyone living in the United States. But since I live in Canada, I also worry. We have an immigration problem too. We also have a illegal problem too, and we can't get housing here. And so I don't understand why people are not standing up. I'm sorry, but you're weak. You're weak. If it was happening around here, yes, I would. And even with my disabilities, I would. And as a Christian, you're not just supposed to stand there. You're supposed to speak up when things like this happen, even if God allows it, right? Even if Yahweh allows it. We're still not supposed to allow bad things to happen. And you'll say, well, I don't agree. Well, how many born-again Christians, or let's just say Christians, because there's a difference, there really is, do you think this is affected? Think of it, 20 million illegals. How many Christians do you think that this is affected? So when it comes to you, you're going to have a different tune. So if you don't think this is coming up to Canada, if you don't think these people who knows, they don't like the States are coming here, and I'm sure they already are. So let's listen to this. This one took me back. It made me and Yah bless the man for doing this. So let's watch.
Be even worse than we imagined. Is that even possible? Well, that's exactly what our next guest just found. J.J. Carroll is a 24-year veteran of the Customs and Border Protection. He traveled as part of a new documentary called Treason that he's working on. One of the first stops, though, was at Imperial Beach in San Diego, his old stomping grounds, to see how much it's changed in a few short years. And this is, of course, the main invasion point into the United States. And what he found in just a few short years from leaving the Customs and Border Protection under Joe Biden is astonishing. Watch.
Okay. I want you to understand, America.
This guy, know first that this guy is a 24-year veteran, that he commanded people on the border, okay? So this isn't just coming from anybody. And if you're in this fog, you're in a fog. You don't understand what's happening. And it all has to do with end times.
You got people sleeping in gutters. You got in the rain walk. You got over here. You got this. This is what I'm trying to tell you, America. When we say we're going to go on a mission to teach you what the hell's going on, if this is treason or not. This is treason. Look at this. Look at this. Just people. They look like burritos stacked on top of each other.
That's inside the States.
United States Border Patrol. 100 years in our history, 97 years, we never did this shit. This never existed. If I showed Border Patrol agents that you had illegal aliens in America, sleeping and living in America with bonfires, people from Africa, Middle East, all of them military-age men, all of them. Look at them. All of them military-age men. You think any of these people give a crap about America? Any of them. Any of them. Look at what we got. This is America now.
All right. And JJ joins us now back home safely in South Dakota. JJ, welcome back to the show. I mean, it's been obviously not in uniform since you've been there. It's been a few years in uniform. You were back there to do interviews for when you were working on your book. But how much has that spot changed since you were last there?
It completely changed. This never happened. As I said in the video, this has never happened. Meaning, I spent 24 years, I spent 10 years in that area in fighting for my life, literally fighting for my life in that area. and people running from you and chasing them to the fence and tackling them and putting them making them submit to put the handcuffs on them. Now they're actually living on the US side, burning tires to keep them warm. And here's the biggest thing. God put inside me, as he did a lot of law enforcement officers, especially the guys that I consider very good. We can tell instantly and almost like that who's good and who's bad. Meaning, I know when somebody is just, okay, that's going to be a farmhand, and that person is going to be a maid, and that person is going to kill somebody. That person is going to rape someone. That is a pedophile right there. When I walked around those 75 to 100 men, they were from the nation of India, from the continent of Africa, and from the Middle East. I, for the first time in a long time, felt extremely unsafe. And I knew, and I looked them in the eye, and they looked me square in the eye. I knew that they were criminals. And here's the difference back. It's not like it's 30 years ago, Clayton. 3 years ago, I was wearing a uniform down on that border. 3 years ago. Here's the difference. 3 years ago, I owned that piece of land. Now, they look at me as if I'm the trespasser on their property. They own that. I'm walking on their land. That is how insane this has gotten. And I'm telling you.
And that's how.
Can you grasp what he just said? He would be on this side, they would be on that side. No friggin' way are you coming over here, right? Now they're inside and they're eyeing him. That give you any idea of what treason is and how deep this is? Who's responsible for this? Well, you could guess there's a lot of people. It would be the elites. Because who else could do this? Who else could make bribes, payments? It's right from the top, so it's Joe Biden, right? It's bribes. I don't know if this is coming from China, from China, from Russia. I don't have no idea, but it's a Marxist plan, and it's called treason, and it's so deep. There are people within the government, like, all I can say is by God. How is this happening? How is no one wanting to do anything about it? How are people not standing up by the millions at the border? Have you not had enough? I'm surprised, and I'm not afraid to say this, that someone hasn't tried a coup by now. From all the things I've seen happen, I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. It's just amazing. And who's half responsible for this? The media. They're responsible for not telling the truth of this and pressuring people to do something about it, because that's what a journalist used to be.
Comes across when you were walking there. I felt nervous for you just seeing the video. I mean, it looks like you are a stranger in a strange land.
I was walking on soil that I dominated, that I owned, and that I spilled blood on, and other people's blood to keep America safe. So did all the men and women of Border Patrol. We turned it over. They actually believe they own it. I'm trespassing in there. I did not feel safe. I'm a big man, and I'll fight my way out of it. But I knew there was a probability, dude, you're going to have to fight. This is not safe on any level. But I need America, and I want your audience to understand, and I want to articulate this as clearly as I can. Everything that you think is bad, it's worse. Everything that you think is being done behind closed doors is worse. I want you to think of, we are being invaded, and it is almost, Clayton, as I have done these interviews, and now that,
look at that,
I've been able to piece things together through investigation and speaking to other journalists, I truly believe that this is like a military movement into America. It has all the signs of it because it's multiple strategic.
They are supposed to shoot, by the way?
Strategic people.
Like, I'm not even joking.
The parts into America.
That's what you do when people do that at your border.
Which is only about 8 months away, Clayton. He will have allowed in at least 25 to 30 million people into America. Try to wrap your brain around that. That
It's unsustainable,
insanity.
as Elon Musk has been tweeting about this, right? The legal migration is one thing, but the United States, even just allowing an additional 1% population into the United States is devastating to the United States resources, our law enforcement, our disease, dealing with the hospitals. Hospitals have been overrun with illegal immigrants. That's something that's not being reported at all, but that's exactly what's happening. Speak to nurses, speak to doctors. This is what's happening.
Can you imagine, it's bad enough where I live. It's actually very bad to go to the hospital just to see a doctor for less than 5 minutes is 15-hour wait. I went the last 2 times I went for my back. It was 15 hours I had to wait just to see them very, very short time. And you know what? They didn't even palpate a pulled back. And anyways, so can you imagine what people in the States in the southern border are dealing with? Imagine you're in a hospital and everyone else is going ahead of you and they're illegal, okay? And don't take the stance that, but I'm for legal immigration. So is like every other country, right? Don't stop appeasing people. You need to shut down your border like you need to shut everything down.
Happening in U.S. hospitals right now, illegal immigrants flooding in, and who's paying for it? Of course, the U.S. taxpayers are footing the bill for all of this. So when you were there, you're seeing these military-age men, bonfires all along the border, inside the United States, camped there. And I think, you and I spoke off camera a little bit about how this is being orchestrated. And so I think you said, picture, if you will, how bad it is. And then you're not even close to understanding how bad it actually is. Can you talk a little bit about the lengths to which these NGOs and the United States government are facilitating all of this across the border?
The NGOs are the linchpin to all of this, because the federal government, without the NGOs, cannot.
Sorry, guys, I keep having to move my picture there. I'm just going to keep it up in the top right corner because I have to keep pausing it to take off the bottom. And you can see the bar there.
Continue on this. And the individuals that I interviewed, and I had one individual in particular he wrote the checks, literally wrote the checks to the NGOs. Okay. And I said, explain to me in detail how this works. And he says, you have to understand this from the perspective of the federal government created a complete chaotic destruction of the border, but they do not have the resources, the manpower, the transportation units to move millions of people from the border into the interior. Thus, they need the NGOs. He says the federal government needs the NGOs so badly that the NGOs now run the government. And I actually had to say, pause in my interview. You got to explain that to me. He said, okay. He said, we're averaging between 7, 10, 15,000 illegal aliens crossing the border every day. He said, JJ, within a week, you're at 150 to 200,000 illegal aliens in America.
Think about that. 10 to 15,000 people a day. What did I say? I just released a video, not that one, the one I did earlier today. And it ties into this. Listen, I'm waiting for the coming of Christ, okay? I have other things to worry about. But this is, just so you know, this is the biggest thing that's going on in the world right now. And yes, I think biblically too. I see what's happening in Israel, Iran, Hamas, Lebanon. I see that. But do you understand what this is? Remember, America is supposed to stand for freedom, even though they're cause all these wars and stuff like that. But it still does. And anyways, There's just too much in that. I said this today. That what is the reason that they're letting so many people, and number one, they're treasonous, they're Marxist, I know this. They're so rich. The elites, they want globalism, they don't want to have to pay tariffs. They just want, because they're not going to be in the picture, right? Because they're going to be in their mansions and stuff like that. Very rich, very poor. Communism. Many people die, many people starve. I hear my oven, yes, I know. Yeah, give me a second. I'm going to actually get my oven and then I'll come back. This is something that I feel like on fire about. This is... It's all planned. What has to happen for it to be planned so meticulously? You have to place all the people in government. You have to have people willing to not speak, to take bribes, to be treasonous. This is why J. Edgar Hoover, have you ever seen the movie J. Edgar? Back in the 1910s, 20s, he developed the FBI because he was kicking out all the communists, and they were literally like bombing places. And anyways, that's what you got to see that story with Leonardo DiCaprio. But it's actually pretty good. I think it was made by Clint Eastwood. If I wasn't a Christian, like a Christian YouTuber, and listen, I believe we're in the end times. You can see it all around the world. This is just another piece of the puzzle. What are the reasons? Like I said, globalism. And it's the rich don't care, right? I don't understand why there hasn't been a coup by someone like Donald Trump. This is just my analysis. Because surely the army would be on his side. And you could kick out the people who are doing this kind of stuff. It just... That's why you see coups happen in the world a lot. But anyways, if I wasn't a Christian YouTuber and it wasn't this time, I'd probably make a political channel because I actually enjoy talking about this. I don't enjoy what's happening. Excuse me. So what's the other reason? It's insane. The other reason, and I do have proof, as I said in my second video ago, and I only heard that today too, and I decided to make a video because of it. I was actually watching Russell Brand, of which I don't watch, by the way, but it was just I saw the title, I had to watch it. Remember when, so I'm 45. Now I remember when I was about 15, 20 was the time when they were moving all the factories to China, India, Mexico, and they were doing that because they made more money that way because there was cheap labor shortage, which is getting more expensive for them, by the way, because they enriched those Chinese and Indian, turned them into middle class. Then they turned to other countries. And now what they're doing is they're flooding the country, so there's another reason, with cheap labor. How do I know for sure? Because they fired middle class, 1,200 men and women that worked at Tyson Foods and said, sorry, we can't afford you. And there was a big shock to America. And because they're a brand, they're a known name. What was it, a week later, 2 weeks later, something like that? They turned around and made an announcement as if to say, in your face, right? We're hiring 52,000 migrant workers. There's your proof. Communism is here.
America, living on the border. In 2 weeks, you're at 250,000. At a month, you're at 400, 500,000. What does that look like? And I'm like, yeah, it's absolute a media nightmare that we're allowing suffering on our border. He said, so in order to continue this invasion, You can't have bodies stacked on top of each other by a 500,000, a million. You have to have an apparatus in place, a machine that transports them and distributes 30 million people into America. And he says, that's how the power they have. And I said, well, how does it look when you cut a check? I said, give me an example of you cutting a check. And he goes, okay, I cut a check for $600 million. And I said, for what, like a 3-year contract? He goes, no, for a month or two, to one, not a dozen, 2 dozen of the major players, but to one. And I said, okay, well, since you cut the check, do you follow that money? Like, or you're the accountant he just laughed at me. He laughed at me.
They're all men.
There's no accounting. These are emergency funds given to them, and they do whatever they want. Nobody cares. The federal government, when you look at it, Clayton, from this perspective, the federal government wants to destroy America by flooding illegal aliens into America. It's indisputable. I don't even want to argue with people anymore. That's the fact. In order to do that, they have.
If you can't get past that fact that you're being invaded on purpose, you have an issue. You have issues with discernment. I was going to say something else, but I forget. Yes, why are they moving them around? When you look at it, it's like, okay, the governor sends them here. We're going to show them, right? We're going to put them into their city so they can take it. Well, you know what? It almost sounds set up to me. Because if they were that mad, they'd shut down their border and they wouldn't care what the state said. Because they're putting them around, they say it's for votes, right? They say it's for votes to try and put them in like Republican areas to sway the vote. Because these people will vote for the left because the right doesn't want them, right? You can see that. And what would be the other? That it's globalization. They're spreading them around America.
Have to spend tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to do that. Do they care? No, just get it done. And that is what we're seeing with the partnership. And it's really not a partnership. The NGOs now have become the contractor, and the U.S. government is the subcontractor. It's crazy.
So when we're talking about this check being cut, and I know you don't want to disclose sources here on who's cutting this check, but this is a U.S. government employee cutting a check, or he's a sort of a liaison between the government and an NGO that's cutting these checks? So this is coming from the Department of Homeland Security. This is coming from the Department of Justice. Where is he? Where's this pile of money exist?
These are DHS employees. So I want you to think of like a giant conference room, and there's multiple DHS employees, and they're cutting checks. Government employees are cutting checks directly to the NGOs for hundreds, if not billions of dollars. It's federal money. It's coming from FEMA pot. And I also heard this. My sources told me the NGOs run FEMA. FEMA doesn't run the NGOs. The NGOs tell them what they're going to do. The NGOs tell the government, not only this is what I need, you're going to pay me this amount to do these things. And when I need more, I'm going to call you and you're going to give me more. And I said, well, what does that look like? He says, well, a subcontractor says, I need COVID tests. During COVID, Clayton, do you know how much it cost the federal government to administer one COVID test and read the results? $2,000 a COVID test. $2,000. And listen to what my source said, and this is brilliant. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant. I'm a Jewish Family Services. I move 500 people from San Diego on planes and buses to Maine. I still have people coming here, so now I have to move those people from Maine to, say, Michigan. The cost just keeps spinning. So after I move them to Maine, I'm going to retest those 500 people for COVID at $2,000 a pop to move them to Michigan. And he goes, all they're
We are in the epitome. We are past the epitome of Sodom and Gomorrah and the days of Lot. The days of Lot, let's just say, are separate. No, let's just say they're all the same. Sodom, Gomorrah, Lot. What I'm speaking to is the corruption. Have you heard of corruption this bad? And from any place in the United States that has the most money by far in the world. I can't believe the corruption that's going on in the United States. People say, like I just heard today, someone say like Canada is going off the deep end or something like that. I'm sorry, but it looks like the States is just about to implode. What's happening in Canada is nothing compared to what's happening in your country right now, I'm sorry to say. You guys are about to be annihilated. In many ways, many different ways this could happen. It could happen militarily. There could be a plan. Who knows? Within all those people, there has to be at least one or two plans. We're talking millions of men. This is a really sad story. Please comment to me, in the comments section, why you think millions of people haven't stood up and done something by now. Because if you live in the southern states, and like I said, if you're in the hospital waiting to get looked at for, say, I don't know, a kidney stone or something like that, and like half the people that are in front of you aren't even supposed to be here, how are you not fed up with that?
doing, my sources tell me, all the NGOs are doing is just moving a giant shell game of 1,000 people there, 2,000 people there, 50,000 people there, and it's so. Imagine if you're in a business and I'm contracting with you, Clayton, and I'm saying, Clayton, you have to take care of 10,000 packages for me every day.
Yeah.
And then you tell me it's going to cost you $5,000 a package. I don't care because I have endless money I can print, and this is just rolling out. So we are looking at, and I don't want to black pill.
It's like they're drop shipping people, literally.
Because this is America, we can overcome anything. But I'm telling you, the farther we slide down this hill, the more bloody it's going to be to get us back up. We are at 45 million illegal aliens in America right now. This is congressional testimony, 45 million. Some people believe that it's already surpassed 50. 45 million illegal aliens. You said Elon Musk, and I saw that tweet, 1% destroys 1% of our population.
Okay, when he says 45 to 50, I don't know if he means like people who were already here before all that crisis began. Let's just say 4 years ago. That would make sense, because if you look at countries, I looked at my country in Canada to see what the rate is, and so it would sound about right if you added in all the people that have come through. So I don't know what he's reading that from. I don't know.
Of illegal aliens will cripple America. If there's 45 million, we're at about 13-14% of the population. If you and I argue and say, okay, let's say I'm 50% wrong, you're still at about 22-25 million. So you're still about 7, 8, 9% of the population. So when you have people that are aligning now, major voices, Elon Musk, probably the biggest voice outside of Trump, is saying this is all going to crumble.
Elon Musk, I don't trust any of them. I don't know about you, but I do have a view, but I don't think I'll share it because I don't really want to be judgmental on that. But
I am a guy that's been in there for 24 years. I'm telling you, it's crumbling. I'm telling you, the machine is so big now, Clayton, that I do not see it being able to be dismantled and broken down because it's too much money, too much power.
How many NGOs do you think we're talking about here? I mean, if you had to guess, how many are operating and are getting
Thousands.
Thousands?
So this is hard to.
Well, I could imagine why
Problem's
this
so
would
big.
make sense. I think the reason why that makes sense, right? Because if you got 4 of them, then we know their names, we expose them, we talk about them. But you've got thousands of little mom and pop operations that are moving 5, 10, 16 people around the country, much harder to track, much harder to find scrutiny and bring scrutiny upon those individuals, right?
That's how they will launder the money. That's how they wash it. So if you're the federal government, Mayorkas, and we're going to see this because you're already seeing child rape, women being raped, murders skyrocketing across America because the NGOs have brought them all over. Federal government's going to say, Jewish Family Services did it. Jewish Family Services is going to say, well, I have 50, 100, 200 subcontractors underneath me. They did it. Well, who are those subcontractors? Well, they just changed their names. There's no way to trace them. And
People in the States, do you have any idea what you're going to face? Before any of this migrant crisis began, I was already looking at, when, all the Syrians and all the, maybe because of the Arab Spring, I forget what it was, from Africa, but it was Syria. Remember all the refugees? And Germany said, because of what we did in World War II, that's what they thought they did it for. We're going to let in 1 million Syrians. They let in all these people, all the countries let in these people, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. Excuse me. People became afraid to say, they're afraid to say it. They've changed since, but there's new stuff happening now. Their rapes went way up. Their crime went way up, gun crime, where they didn't have gun crime before, or it was so low. This is the truth that I'm speaking. You're inviting people into your country that don't share your values, and in fact, probably more violent than not. I don't know. It seems so because of the places that they came from. A lot of these people are being taken out from prisons, by the way, if you have not heard. That's what governments start to do when they hear open borders. Get rid of our problems. Can you imagine how it benefits other countries to get rid of all their, the psych ward, all the prisons, all the correctional political prisoners, all that kind of stuff? You have no idea. And what they're going to do is they're going to hide the rape numbers and all the different crimes, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And you don't think you're in any tribulation? You don't think any of that started? Okay.
I asked my source this, even though I knew the answer. I wanted on tape. I said, who's vetting the NGOs? The people working for the NGOs. He says, no one is vetting anyone. We're talking about taking young, unaccompanied alien children and trafficking them across state lines. And nobody knows who's doing it? Think of that. Child Protective Service in California can't bring children to Nevada. There's a process that has to happen. We have people that we have no idea. I have inside information. They're saying the people that are trafficking, moving these children are all felons.
They don't even know where the kids are going.
The buses that are buses driving them all over America are felons. This is the biggest story that is going to unravel in the next couple years and decade. And we are going to hear stories that are going to sicken you.
That's right.
I'm pre-warning you. Everything that I knew was happening, I knew it. I even miscalculated how successful and how brilliant their plan is. And I have to applaud them. I'm going to have to applaud Mayorkas. I can't stand them. I can't stand the Democrats and the Rhino Republicans. But I will, as an intellectually honest person, say to my adversary, you guys are incredible. You are rock stars. If you could put forth that energy to make America prosper, no one on the planet could.
I don't agree. Just no one's impeached him for good.
You have taken all of your energy, time, talent, treasure, and all of your intellect to destroy America, and you are winning.
Well, JJ's new documentary is called Treason. I know you're just starting the process. This was really the first leg of it. And what you've uncovered in this first leg is terrifying. I can't wait to see what else you uncover with this. And JJ, of course, also the author of the great book called Invaded. I highly recommend you all read it. JJ, I'll just get you out of here real quick. What's the timeline, do you think, on the documentary, and where do you think you're going next?
We are going to Chicago, and then we will head out to New York and Boston, and then back down to the border in Texas. We'll be done by the summer, and we hope to release it in September or early October at the latest. You can go to GiveSendGo/Save in America. We are self-funding. The production company obviously put forth all the majority of the money, but the costs are exorbitant. So if you could go, even as your audience has already been so generous, just even if you have $5, it adds up and allows us to go further, interview more people, conceal their identity. Because here's the other thing, Clayton. Everyone wants to talk to us, but no one wants to talk to us because they're scared to death of being fired, being jailed by our own government. And I'm not getting classified information because I would not allow them to do that because I know that put you in jail. This is all unclassified. This is open information, but they're scared to death. I have to block them out. I have to change their voice. I can't even show a silhouette of them. So I just actually have a black screen because our federal employees are so nervous about their own employer, the federal government. That's how bad things have gotten in America. And you say, well, why don't they become a whistleblower? My God, have you seen what's happened to the whistleblowers? They've lost their jobs. They get threatened to go to jail. Why would anyone in their right mind be a whistleblower? So this is bigger than even what I envisioned. And I am a little concerned, and I do have some, I don't know if fear is the right word, but as I'm moving forward with this, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I can't wait to tell the story because I will not remain silent. I will not be part of the problem. I have to be part of the solution, no matter what that may entail for me in the future. And I appreciate your time you always give me.
Well, God bless you. And our audience has been amazing. We'll put a link in the description if anyone wants to donate to the documentary, like $5, $10, just anything will help move this along so JJ and his team are able to do more interviews and bring and shine a light on this. So, well, thanks for the amazing work already, JJ, and we'll check back with you as this story unfolds in Chicago and these other spots along the way. We appreciate it. Thank you, JJ.
Thank you, Clayton.
What would I say with the closing statement here? Let's just put it this way. Let's say you're a woman, okay? And you're just somewhat attractive. Like you're not even. You're just, I don't mean to classify people that way. I'm trying to make a point. I don't think it matters. I think you go, say, go travel to Mexico and walk yourself up and try to go through Eagle Pass type thing or wherever those crossings are. You come through, you're going to be raped. You're going to be raped. I have no idea why they do it. I haven't looked into that. Maybe it's just the nature of the people around that way. Cartel. I don't know. I don't know. There could be a whole lot of reasons. Child trafficking, violence, murder, extortion. And the United States of America is letting it happen. I don't understand for the life of me why people aren't standing up. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, what's it called? Valkyrie. You know, when Tom Cruise plays Vaughn. What's his name? Anyway, he tried to do a coup because he saw the writing on the wall, and that coup almost worked. It really did. Anyways, he could have killed Hitler too. Well, I know why it didn't work. It's because where the bomb was placed under the table and the protection of that table. But why Hitler lived. But do you guys have any idea what you're going to face? Your healthcare is going to go down. Food is going to go down. Things are going to skyrocket in price. Think of how evil you have to be in the worst time in history for, like inflation and all that, to bring more people in, to worsen it. Here is the description of what is happening. And don't tell me it's any different. Imagine you count on the police, okay, to stop something. This is just the way the world works. This is in the Western world. You say you're with a friend, you're walking down the street, all of a sudden a gang comes and starts beating him, kicking him in the head and in the ribs, and the cop comes, and usually you're like, thank the Lord, right? This time they're just walking by. They're just walking by, and they don't care. That's what's happening. I know why it's happening deep under. And it's because people have given up Yah. They have given up God. And I'm sorry, but if you don't belong to Him, I think you're in a lot of trouble. If you don't believe in Yah, God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, you're going to be in a lot of trouble very soon. So I know my prophecies. I can see what's happening. And it's so close to home. I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to move out of the States to go to a safer place, but I don't know. That's a lot of potential violent people in your country now. There's a lot of videos out there that are quite scary. Anyways, you can only hope for the kingdom of Yah, the kingdom of Jesus Christ to come. It's all we can hope for. It's coming. According to the birth pains, it's coming. Thanks for watching, guys, and Yah bless.